Hi folks, and I am back. Yes, we are back with World of Tanks. I am back on the channel and I am recording videos again. This is the first video I've put together in a few weeks. In fact, all this month I've only put together about 4 videos. And in the entire month I've only played about 5 hours of World of Tanks. Now, I did mention it on previous videos. The house I've been living in for about 3 years was being sold. I rent, I don't own. Unfortunately, I'm not that well off. But the house I've been living in for the last 3 years was put on sale by the owner. So I had to get out. So I had to pack up, I had to move stuff into storage, and yeah, including things like the PC. So I've had to find somewhere new to live, and yeah, things were very, very stressful, and as a result, I did warn you guys I wouldn't be around, and I thought I would be doing lots of videos, lots of content this month, but this thing hit me out of the blue. So, looking for somewhere new to live, packing up, cleaning the house, and then when it came down to it, at the very, very last moment, the owner changed his mind. So I had found somewhere new to live, but the owner of the house I'm currently in changed his mind, decided he wasn't going to sell, and I've rented the house for another 12 months. So I've had to go through a whole pile of stress and misery and packing and cleaning for absolutely nothing. Now, while it's good news, the fact that I've got somewhere to live for the next 12 months, it's bad news because everything is still packed. Boxes have been moved to my parents' house. And yeah, now I've got to unpack and basically get up and running again in the very same place I was originally. I didn't have to do anything. So it's been a huge, huge pain in the ass. But as far as you guys are concerned, it means that I haven't been able to make videos, I haven't been putting up my regular content, and I do apologize. I did warn you, as I say on a couple of previous videos, but you may not have seen those. But the good news is I am back up and running. I have unpacked my mic, we've got my 2 monitors set up, everything is back up and running as far as I can tell, so regular content is going to begin again from today. So hooray! And we're kicking off with just some gameplay. It's just a channel update video, and I thought I'd do some gameplay in the 110 because I have not brought you the Chinese tier 8 heavy tank to the channel before. I absolutely love the 110, even though I haven't got an ace tanker in it yet, and you're about to see why. Because I think the 110 is a very, very good tank. I like the IS-3, the tier 8 Russian heavy tank. I really do like the IS-3. I think it's a very versatile tank. It's fast, it's maneuverable, you can play it like a medium, it's got a great gun, it doesn't matter if you get it into a tier 10 game, the IS-3 can still do a job, and the 110 is the Chinese equivalent of the IS-3. But I actually like the 110 even more than I'd like the IS-3. So as well as being a channel update video, I thought I'd do something a little bit, game related and educational before we showed you some gameplay. And we're going to go into tank compare. So we're going to compare the 110 to the IS-3. 2 tanks I really, really like. And as I say, I like the IS-3 because it's fast, it's versatile, it's got a great gun. But it does have a couple of issues, and those issues are dealt with in the 110. So when we take a look at the top values on both tanks, we'll come down, you see they get the same matchmaking, they've got both tier 10 heavy tanks, but we actually get more hit points on the 110, so that's a bonus for the 110 already. Not very many hit points, but you know how many times have you been shot and left on low HP? You've got more chance of that happening in a 110, so you get more hit points. You get better signal range, you get a better top speed, but not by much. That's kind of important. So both of these tanks have very, very similar top speeds, but the 110 is just slightly better. They've got the same reverse speed, they weigh about the same load limit, and roughly the same crew layout, even though they're different nations. But the first major difference happens when we come to the armor. You see, the armor on the 110, at least on the hull, is better than it is on the IS-3. The side and rear armor are identical, but the front armor is better on the 110. Now, it's better for a couple of reasons. Not only is it 10mm thicker than it is on an IS-3, but you can see from these images here how well angled, how well sloped this piked nose is. Both of these tanks have piked noses, but look how much more angled, look how much more sloped the 110 is compared to the IS-3. So not only does it have 10mm more frontal hull armor, but the pike, the armor is better angled, so you will bounce a lot more shots in the 110 than the IS-3. But the only downside is the lower glacis on the 110 is a little bit bigger than it is on the IS-3, but again, if if you know what you're doing and you can hide that lower glacis or go hull down, it's not that big of an issue. So when it comes to armor, the hull armor on the 110 is much better than it is on the IS-3. But things get a little bit different when we take a look at the turret armor. You see, the turret armor on paper, that's always important, is better on the IS-3. It gets 50 millimeters more frontal turret armor than the 110 does. It gets much more side armor than the 110 does, and it gets much more rear armor than the 110 does. So on paper, the turret armor is better than it is on the 110. However, one of the issues with the IS-3, or one of the things that a lot of experienced players take advantage of, is the fact that the IS-3 has a very weak turret roof. The turret roof on the IS-3 is very weak, and if you're up against experienced players, they're not going to try and pin you on the hull unless it's an easy shot. They're just going to try and pen the top of your turret roof just over the gun. This area here is very weak. Lots of guns can overmatch it. So an IS-3 is okay when it can go hull down, but it's still vulnerable if you're fighting against players who know how to fight an IS-3. The 110 doesn't have that weakness, so the turret armor may not be as good on paper. It may not have as much frontal, rear, or side armor on paper, but it's missing that big weak turret roof, so you can actually go hull down in the 110. But essentially, both of these tanks perform the same, and the 110 has the added advantage of having more hull armor, better hull armor, and turret armor that maybe not quite as good but is lacking that huge weak spot. So overall, I think the armor on the 110 is much better than it is on the IS-3, even though I do like the IS-3. And when we get to the mobility of the two tanks, there are other differences. You see, the IS-3 has a better engine by quite a bit, therefore it has a better horsepower to weight ratio by quite a bit. 1426 versus 1149, so the horsepower to weight ratio on an IS-3 is much better. So it does accelerate better. It can traverse, even though the traverse speed is the same, because you've got more engine power and a faster horsepower to weight ratio. The IS-3 handles better than it does on the 110. Yeah, by quite a significant margin. However, that's not the whole story, because we've got to take a look at the terrain resistance. The traverse speed is the same, the climb angle's the same, but the terrain resistance on hard terrain, for example, like Himmelsdorf, is identical for both tanks. So the IS-3 actually does perform a little bit better on city maps, on concrete, on hard ground. But when we come to medium terrain resistance, for example grass, you can see the terrain resistance on the 110 is much better than it is on the IS-3. So both tanks handle identically on hard terrain, but the 110, even though it has less engine power, less horsepower to weight ratio, actually handles a lot better on grass than the IS-3 does. And then when we come to soft terrain like swampy ground, you can see again that the IS-3 is slightly better than the 110 is. So basically these two tanks, even though the IS-3 on paper has more horsepower to weight ratio, it does accelerate faster. It really depends on the terrain. The IS-3 is better for city maps and better for swampy ground, whereas the 110 handles much better on standard maps on grass. They've got the same fire chance, the same engine, and then the other major difference between the two tanks is the view range on the 110 is much better. The view range for a heavy tank of 380 meters at tier 8 is very good on the 110 compared to the IS-3, which is as blind as a bat. So view range is very important, and the fact that the 110 has lots of it is very good. They have the same traverse speed on the turret, and then the last major difference between the two tanks is the guns. You see, the guns on the tanks aren't identical. They may both look similar, they may perform similarly, but the guns, you've got a 100mm gun on the 110 compared to 122mm on the IS-3. So the gun is significantly bigger on an IS-3 than it is on a 110. And that means that the alpha damage on an IS-3 is much better. You get 390 alpha damage on an IS-3 compared to 320 alpha damage on a 110. So more alpha damage, and you get more penetration as well. That 122mm is definitely better for that than a 100mm is on a 110. 225mm of penetration compared to 212. They both have the same penetration for their gold ammo. They both use APC ore. So better alpha damage, slightly better penetration, but the deciding factor over whether or not I like the 110 over the IS-3 has to be its DPM. You can see that the 110, even though it's got a 100mm gun compared to 122mm, has more DPM, much more DPM, 1920 DPM compared to 1759 on the IS-3. So the DPM can be buffed with equipment and crew skills, and it's got very, very good DPM for a heavy tank. So yes, it may be lacking the alpha that the IS-3 has, but the DPM is much higher, and the reason for that is the rate of fire. The reload is at 10 seconds. Now again, that can be buffed with equipment and crew skills, so the gun handles, even though the alpha damage is less, it handles much, much better on a 110. And not only that, but the accuracy is better. Not by much, but the accuracy is better, and the aim time is much, much better. And it doesn't end there, because the 110 has 6 degrees of gun depression compared to 5 degrees on the IS-3, and it carries much, much more ammo. The camo values are a little bit like the terrain resistance values in that the IS-3 has better camo when it's stationary and when it's firing its gun, but when it's moving, the 110 is better. So essentially, when we're comparing the 110 versus the IS-3, what we've got are two tanks that are very, very similar. The 110 is slightly slower and accelerates slightly slower than an IS-3, but only on certain terrain. On some terrain, the IS-3 and the 110 perform identically. The armor on the 110 is much, much better, both on the hull and on the turret, mainly because it's missing a very weak turret roof. So on paper, the IS-3's turret is better, but in performance, I think the 110's turret armor performs better, at least as through the games I've played. But the 110 also gets 1 extra degree of gun depression. It gets more DPM, it's more accurate, it's got a faster rate of fire, and it's got 6 degrees of gun depression compared to the IS-3, not to mention the fact it carries more ammo. So overall, I think the 110 is a better tank than the IS-3 is. And it hurts me to say that because I like the IS-3, but even though I haven't been playing the 110 too much, I haven't been playing any World of Tanks very much recently, I just find that the 110 is far more versatile. And this game is going to show that here on Himmelsdorf. Now, I was planning to go Hill. This is a very nice matchup for me. I'm top tier, it's a tier 8 game, and I'm looking at the minimap, and I'm seeing the fact that our Tiger 2 seems to be AFK, and every other tank has abandoned the hill. So I've got, at the moment, an AFK Tiger 2. I'm the only other top tier heavy, and my entire team is abandoning the hill. So basically, I was going to go Hill, and I've just said something bad in chat, so we'll blank that out for a moment. So I'm basically telling my team in no short terms, there's no certain terms, that you don't abandon the hill on Himmelsdorf. But I've had to, because, as I say, I'm the only top tier heavy. Our only other top tier heavy is AFK. Our team have completely abandoned the hill, and our Ferdinand just put a shot into our friendly WZ-111. So you can see that even though the penetration on an IS-3 is better, I'm able to hit the weak spot on the Centurion 1. We trade shots, but he does 213 damage to me, I do 318 damage to him, and you can see he actually managed to put a shot into my beak on the pike nose, and that's because I came around at a bad angle and I straightened up the pike nose. Now, because we've abandoned the hill, I've basically got to be aggressive. Have to be really aggressive. We have to clean and kill town quickly before the enemy team realize we've abandoned the hill. So I'm just advancing. There's the best player on the enemy team, T-37. Unfortunately, he spotted me. But the accuracy on this gun allows you to do things that you cannot do in the IS-3, in my opinion. Look how small a target that was, and I was able to take out the T-37. Unfortunately, I get ambushed by a Tiger P. It takes out my engine. Yeah, the 110 does suffer quite a bit of engine damage when you get shot in the side and rear. But again, we're flanking. We've got to kill everything in town before the enemy team can flank us. So I'm just moving down. IS-3 and T-28 prototype around this corner. So I could have angled better. I could have been ambushed if the enemy team knew what I was doing, but I've spotted 2 RT. There's that 380 meters of view range. So 380 meters of view range. Those tanks might not have been spotted by an IS-3, but we've taken out both enemy RT, both Hummels are dead with one shot. So even though the alpha damage is not as good on a 110 as it is on perhaps an IS-3, it's still good enough to one-shot RT. So we're on 3 kills, I'm up to 1200 damage. Now, I don't really want to push an IS-3 and a T-28 prototype, so again I want to sweep up. I've got an IS-3 moving up behind me, but we're going to move. Now, unfortunately, one thing that the IS-3 is not great at is shooting on the move. Or not the IS-3, the 110, even I'm getting confused now. It's not great at shooting on the move. But we're coming around, I angle, and the IS-3 bounces, we get one shot in, ram him for a little bit more damage, and I'm going to have made a little bit of issue with my gun depression, but I'm still able to get a shot into his gun, or the turret ring. Now, I'm with 2 autoloaders here, and they look as if they're reloading. They're both trying to hide from this IS-3. Now, this IS-3 has gone hull down, and he's just fired. So, I could have stopped, I could have aimed, but he's hull down, and I decide to go on the attack. Now again, shooting on the move, not great, and I hit the rubble. Yep, that was a friendly hit from our own 5100. But this guy, we can ram him for some more damage, and put a shot into the back of his turret. So there we go, that's 5 kills, that's 2k damage. I'm loving the 110, and especially on a map like the Himmelsdorf, the terrain resistance really doesn't matter too much. It's got the same terrain resistance as an IS-3. Unfortunately, I take a hit from the T-28 prototype who'd advanced. I bounce a Tiger P. So I'm just waiting till I drop off radar, and then we're going to try and maybe flank this T-28 prototype. So, and then I suddenly realize, well, hang on. The only tank that's engaged the T-28 prototype was the 1375. So I've got to go help. He's not going to live long enough. I've got to go help the 1375. I could have played better. I could have been much more aggressive against the T-28 prototype, but I think I was maybe too careful. And there we go. Shooting on the move, rear of the T-28 prototype, and I miss. And I really needed to hit that shot. So again, a little bit more ram damage, and because I'm basically going turret to turret, T-28 prototype doesn't even take a shot. So now we're being capped. We've lost the hill. But as I say, I'm on 2.4k damage, 5 kills, and it's been quite a successful game so far. And really, I don't miss that extra alpha damage playing the 110 than I do when I'm playing the IS-3. Really, it doesn't seem to matter that much, the fact that the alpha damage is a little bit lower. I think it's more important for me that I get shots out fast, because it allows me to react, it allows me to kill tanks that are on low health a lot faster than I could in an IS-3. So again, we're flanking, we're being capped, and I'm waiting. Oh, I did have a shot. And I've been spotted. Unfortunately, the Tiger 2 keeps advancing. Second Tiger 2 moves up. And again, look at the accuracy. We're able to sneak a shot just above his wheels, just above his tracks as he came around the corner. So, I know that another Tiger 2 was last advancing. I'm waiting for him to come around the corner. And there he is. Murphy's Law. But still able to take a snapshot, take him out for Top Gun. So yeah, I really do recommend the 110, and it's kind of a surprise to me because I really disliked the IS-2. I know a lot of people out there seem to like the IS-2, but the Tier 7 Chinese heavy tank, I completely disliked. I did not like that tank at all. I could not wait to get out of the IS-2. I just did not play that tank well. No matter how I tried to play it, I always did badly in an IS-2. But the 110 is a different matter. I seem to have lots and lots of consistently good games in the 110. So, Tiger 2 had fired, his chain turned his attention, and you can see that the aim time, the accuracy on the 110 is just so much better, except when shooting on the move. So, I'm on kill number 6, 3,000 damage, 2 tanks left on the enemy team. I know where they both are. I'm on 584 damage, or health, so that means that the 2 enemy tanks can potentially one-hit kill me. So if both tanks were to shoot me and both tanks were to damage me, I'm dead. But the Arl fires and reverses into cover. So I kind of don't want to get shot by both tanks at the same time. So while my back is being covered by the Tiger P, I move up, I notice that the 416 is retreating, and there we go. Took a bit of a risk, killed the 416 for kill number 7, just the Arl, and here's that rate of fire. That allows me to get kill number 8, and if I'd been in an IS-3, I wouldn't have been able to do that. So you may have less alpha damage, but that rate of fire allows you to snap up kills a lot better. So that was a game where rare game I played this month because I haven't been on. I've played a total of 5 hours of World of Tanks this month. Throughout the entire month, and this was played on the 4th of April, so quite a while ago, and it was probably the second last time I've played World of Tanks this month. I just have not been around. So after this game I was thinking 8 kills, 3.4k damage, that has to be my 110 ace tanker. I haven't got the ace tanker yet, but I must have underestimated how well people are playing the 110 because 8 kills and 3.5k damage was not enough to get an ace tanker in the 110. It was only a first class, and I'm kicking myself. I really did think coming out of that game, there we go, that's the ace. So it's turning in, even though I absolutely love the 110, it's starting to turn into one of these cursed tanks. I picked up the Radleys, picked up high caliber, picked up a top gun, but no ace tanker. So 1263 XP, 3.4k damage done, and I earned 26,000 credits, and it was not enough for an ace tanker. Well, I don't mind too much because I do really enjoy playing the 110. So finally, 110 versus IS-3. Well, my conclusion just from the few games I've played in the 110, I much prefer it over the IS-3. Yes, I love my IS-3, but I think the 110, just the armor works better, and I really do enjoy the faster rate of fire. So, while I didn't enjoy the IS-2, and I found that some of the Chinese tanks were a pain to grind through, I do think it's worth grinding to at least the 110. I'm looking forward to getting on to the tier 9, not so much the tier 10, but we shall see. I still have to play better. Maybe next time I'll get 10 kills and try and get the ace tanker of the 110. We'll see. But anyway, yes, as I say, this is a channel update video, and yes, I've been missing for the end of March, pretty much all of April, and I am so annoyed. It was out of my control, but now I am back, but so much has happened in the gaming world that I haven't been able to deal with. So much footage I wanted to bring to the channel that I haven't been able to do. Because Wargaming announced they were removing some tanks from the game, I did actually spend a few days, in fact I spent a week sitting down and making Is It Worth It reviews, just so, even though I didn't have the time to be honest, just so you guys would have the reviews before the tanks were removed. But that's pretty much all I've been able to do this month, and it meant that because I rushed those reviews out, had to do those reviews, I was planning other reviews. So I'm going to be bringing out another Is It Worth It review very soon. That's going to be the SU-100Y Is It Worth It? I just need to sit down and record the footage, but I've got everything I need for that one. I'm also going to be bringing out a bunch of ace tankers that I didn't have a chance to record and put up on the channel before I had to go absent for about a month. But it's not just World of Tanks content, so there's going to be lots more World of Tanks content coming to the channel, but I'm annoyed because this month I didn't get to play World of Warships either, so it wasn't just World of Tanks. I didn't get to play any World of Warships, and there was lots of stuff that happened in World of Warships. They did their space event on a space map with special space versions of their ships. Really wish I could have played, but I just haven't been able to play any games for the last month. But they also brought out their premium ships, and those ships are still available in the gift shop, and if you buy them, you're going to get access to the closed beta right now. And I really wanted to get down and basically play some of those ships. I wanted to not only to play World of Warships, I really wanted to play some of the premium ships to bring you some footage of them and just give you my impressions, although I will admit I'm not a very good World of Warships player. I'm still learning that game big time, and I just haven't had time to devote to World of Warships. But other news, yeah, there's been so much happening this month, I just haven't been able to get into anything. For example, Armored Warfare. The Armored Warfare had another closed alpha test, and I believe that I was actually eligible for it, but unfortunately I just wasn't able to play in the Armored Warfare tests, so I wasn't able to get my hands on the game for the first time. I still am in the closed beta. I'm still in the closed beta. Unfortunately, yeah, that's not happening yet, so it's going to be a while before you see any Armored Warfare on the channel. Naval Action have announced some big updates. Now, they haven't happened yet, but Naval Action, I really wanted to pop into Naval Action and have a look at the game again because it's been a few months since I last did it. But they're going to be releasing Open World, and Open World in Naval Action looks absolutely amazing. For example, take a look at this exploration gameplay. So I might actually bring you a very basic video just going through the news that basically what's going to be happening in Naval Action. I mean, look at this. This looks beautiful, but it's basically I don't know, expeditions. Look at this. You can get cards, you can discover animals, you can basically go all Darwin on Naval Action. You can discover resources, you can actually develop archives and books and maps, and oh, that's just the exploration, that's not the combat. But Naval Action is looking very good. So lots of stuff I'm excited about regarding Naval Action. I'll probably bring it to you in a video. Don't know if there's going to be any gameplay, but anyway, yeah, a lot of stuff has been happening in Naval Action. Then there's been Hearthstone have released their latest expansion as well this month, and I haven't had a chance to play any Hearthstone this month. So hopefully I'm going to sit down for a few hours and maybe knock out some Hearthstone videos. I know a lot of you guys don't bother with Hearthstone, don't bother watching the videos, but that's had an expansion this month, and when an expansion does come out, I usually do a video. So that's something else I need to do this month. And also, I got into the closed alpha test for Total War Arena, and I just have been too busy to play, so I haven't even had a chance to look at that game yet. But yeah, and it's still under NDA, so I can't really discuss the Total War Arena game, but I do want to have a look, and as soon as the NDA is lifted, maybe I will bring you some footage and tell you what that game is about. Oh yeah, and then there's bloody World of Tanks Generals. It's so much happening this month, and I just haven't been able to play. I managed to get into the beta test for World of Tanks Generals. I haven't played a single game. In fact, this is as far as I've gone. But yeah, I like Hearthstone, I like World of Tanks, so therefore I should like World of Tanks Generals. But we'll see. I got into the beta test, and I just haven't been able to play because I haven't been around. And so much gaming stuff I need to do, and I need to play, and I need to bring to the channel. But that's basically what you're going to be getting over the next few weeks. There's going to be a lot of World of Tanks content, there's going to be a lot of World of Ships content, there's going to be some Hearthstone content, there's going to be a little bit of Naval Action content, and there's going to be World of Tanks Generals content. Unfortunately, I can't bring you any Armored Warfare or any Total War Arena because I'm either under NDA or those are not currently being tested, even though I'm in them. So anyway, there's a lot to come to the channel, guys, and I am back. I have got somewhere steady to live. The pressure is off. I'm going to be here for the next 12 months, and that means that the videos are going to be coming back. The streams are going to be coming back, and you're going to see me in-game a lot more often. I'm really looking forward to it. I would like to say I've taken a break for a month, but that's not true. I've been so stressed out. Coming back to World of Tanks and making videos is like a break to me. So I may have been away, but I haven't forgotten you guys. And if you're still watching the video at this late stage, I'm going to give away a Steam key. I have no idea what game it's going to be, but I do still have some spare Steam keys. So if you could just make a comment in the video below, just say what you'd normally say, and that's pretty much it. All you have to do is comment on this video and you'll get entered into a draw for another Steam key. Again, as I say, can't remember what Steam keys I have left, but I still do have some. So there you go. I want to thank you guys for watching. It is great to be back. Expect a lot more content from a lot more games and a lot more World of Tanks content coming to the channel in the next couple of weeks. But that's it. I've still got to get back to unpacking, and I'll see you very soon.